This is a really kind of a fun video. Today is exactly the Oscars and 2020, of course. And I've been putting off this video because I've been feeling very sick and tired, and the lighting conditions haven't been great because I use natural light. So I've been sort of putting it off and putting it off. And Grace has been very, very kind. She's very motherly with me. She's been very kind of just telling me it's fine, it's okay, take your time. And, ironically, yesterday I was at work because I work Saturdays, of course. And I was like, when are the Oscars? I thought it was the end of the month of February, towards the end, but it was on the 9th today. So it's sort of interesting connection with Grace and the Oscars, and she's really, really happy. I think she orchestrated it, but she never let me on. She's that kind of a woman. She's very um, kind of subdued, but she's got you reeled in. You don't realize it that she's got you. It's kind of how this happened. I was in the dentist's office. Um, I was the first treatment for getting my top teeth fixed. So it was the first time I was with this dentist, and while I was waiting for him to come in, there were some magazines hanging on the wall um, in his study, not the study, but the actual place where he did the dentistry. And there she was, her big face, and she's like, "Yeah, I have a big face," on a big, big magazine cover, Life magazine cover, and she was looking at me, and I already had done I think I had done Marilyn, or I was about to do Marilyn, and I was like, not another one. And the teeth had me very depressed. The fact that my top teeth started to break, and I'm getting older, and my teeth were never the strongest part of my body. The rest of my body is fine. It's just my teeth. And she didn't say much. She was just looking at me. I was very uncomfortable after like he had finished doing most of his work and he took a break. I just put her behind the magazine. I was like, I couldn't have her stare at me, with her sort of beautiful eyes. And eventually, through the last month since November, she's been coming in more and more. Like she let Marilyn have her moment, and Betty Davis have her moment as well. And she came in at a time when I was feeling very sad, and there was some sadness in me from stuff that I've been living in my life. And she came in, and she was just very comforting. And she's saying, and she told me to say it, and she's not saying it now, but everyone. She works with Mother Mary. She's connected to that energy. She's very connected to that energy of mothering, and she wants to talk about that today. She's going to talk about her life because she knows people want to hear about it, but she's much more interested in talking about the mother energy and in how to deal with it and how to um, be in it. And she's really interested in talking about that more than anything. But she's like, you got to give them a bone, she says. I'm doing the makeup. I wasn't sure if I was going to do the makeup. Um, I've been debating on how important it is. I'm pretty sure people who follow makeup tutorials do not watch this. Um, so I decided to do it because I get very nervous in front of the camera, and it's a way for me to just not think. Because if I'm just sitting here and trying to channel, it doesn't work. You really have to disconnect from your own thoughts and let the thoughts come in. And when I do makeup, when I do something physical that is asking for my concentration, I feel that they can talk to me and it comes through much clearer than if I'm just sitting and like going, okay, send the message. It's going to feel more flowy. And also, you're going to be distracted by me doing the makeup. And because they do send bits and pieces. And a lot of mediums or channelers talk about this, that they do talk, we do talk to these energies before, because it's impossible just to get something flowy and coherent while you're just sitting in front of the camera. And, you know, it's probably going to be, no, she's saying it's going to be possible, but you're not used to the camera yet just now. Um, so I've decided to still do makeup, but I'm not going to mention products because it's not really important, because it's pretty simple. It's Marilyn's look all over again on me. So I'm just going to look the way that I look with Marilyn. Because I'm going to tan myself a lot more, because Grace was more of a tanned beauty, more, you know, glowing goddess tan. So I'm going to do that. And I'm wearing this dress. It's a little bit vampy. I kind of look a bit of vampire-esque. But I have another dress, but it's such a low bodice, and it's a satin. And because of the cropping, and I don't have a nice background, and I'm a big person. I'm 6 foot tall. So it's hard to fit me into the frame with the dress, but I will put on the dress. I look naked, and I kind of feel awkward doing the video while I'm looking naked. So I'm going to do my makeup, and I'm going to talk, and at the end I'm going to put on the strapless dress, and we're just going to see the whole effect with the beautiful cherry satin dress. For now, I'm wearing this Bordeaux blood. It looks sort of glam Hollywood, and it's good enough for now. So a pretty long introduction, but I feel it's necessary. I don't know why. I just follow the inspiration that they give me, and I'm kind of following that inspiration. Yeah. So you see, this is what happens when you do nothing and you think. You just end up in puddles of thought. And you probably might have noticed that my speech is a bit different, because I had a partial, what do you call it? Partial denture. While I was doing the dental work, because a few of the tooth in my upper mouth broke, and they made me like a partial denture. Now my speech is a bit different, and even how I move my mouth, because I had to articulate it around, because my tongue would hit my palate, because it would lower the height of the palate. Oh my God, I'm giving you way too much information. While I was having my break, I also had Clark Gable come in, and I wanted to do something with Clark Gable, but I was tired, and I was doing another project. I'm going to do Clark Gable later. I'm not sure if I want to put on a mustache and look like him, and he's nudging me. He's like, it would be funny. uh, because of the teeth, basically. He came in and sort of was comforting me, because he had lost all of his teeth early in his life, and he had dentures. He said it was a great way of, when some ladies would be too insisting, he'd just pull out the dentures and scare them away. He's like, you won't be able to do that anymore. I'm like, well, I still, maybe when I hit the 60s, I'll go for dentures. So my camera films every 12 minutes, breaks every 12 minutes. So I'm looking at my timer, and I'm going to stop this now, and I'm going to restart, and we're going to be in bronzing me. So I have a little base here that I've mixed up to give me a nice glow, and we're going to see what it looks like. I don't want to put too much coverage. I don't want to look too makeup here, too cakey, and so that's what we're going to do. So she wants to talk about, you know, it was really hard for her when she was in Hollywood. It was a very nice time for her. She had fun, but she knew there was something off about it, and she means that in a really good way, of course. Hollywood is a very strange place for a young lady, she says, because it's full of temptations. And she doesn't want to say it's a bad thing or a good thing or whatever it is. It's a thing, it exists. And, she had the fun, she had the life. She doesn't want to say she regrets anything. It was a good preparation, she says, for the latter part of her life. It was a really good preparation for the latter part of her life, where she was a royal. Basically, she says, I was a Princess Diana before Princess Diana, and she says it was a really good preparation for that. She knew Hollywood wasn't her final destination. She knew she wanted to be a mother. She knew she wanted to have a family, and she would go for these daddy types. She says, I liked a good daddy. she's she's got a very cheeky sense of humor that I didn't get. She's flooding me with all of these emotions, but she was keeping grace. Oh, that's a lot. It's okay. We'll blend it out. So this is a base that I mix on my own. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to figure out. You see a nice big streak, so you can figure out what kind of color it is. And I mix it with a silicone base, so it's very transparent. So basically it's a foundation, and I just mix it with something that will make it transparent and make it look like it's my skin, or the pigment is coming from my skin and not a foundation. And that's the trick when you want to bronze in a way that looks very convincing, because it's a bit muddy because it's directly on my skin. I'm going to put a foundation over it to blend it, but this is how I like to do it for me, for myself. And I feel like if you just do bronzer on your face, it's not going to look like a tan, like a real tan. So I want to give myself a very realistic tan. I don't know why it's red here. I guess I'm nervous. So she's saying it was a good practice for her. Good to do it with your fingers too. Once you get a nice base. But if I want more, I just use the brush, and I'm going to do it on the high points of my cheeks. And of course some on the ears, but I'm going to do powder, because it's just easier to do your ears with powder. So there you go. Look a bit tan. I'm going to do some on my body. I might do it after because I have run out of it. So she's saying Hollywood was always something that I did because I knew something else would come from it. She knew it was connected to the real life she wanted to have, which was to be a mother. She didn't know how or when it would happen or with who. She didn't expect it to be with a prince, she says. She knew she had to be a mother. Like, that was her calling in this life. And everything she did, everything that happened to her in her life, like Hollywood, got her ready and groomed her for the role of, Princess Grace. And she wants to say Princess Grace. And she says, I love my name. It was a very prophetic name for me, she says, Princess Grace. And she says when people learned that I was marrying this prince, they were very jealous, and it was very unexpected for them. Like they didn't get it, or they people felt I had abandoned them, because I had this mothering energy, whether you liked it or not. She says, whether I liked it or not, she said, or whether you liked it or not, I had a very mothering energy where people did feel abandoned by me going off and being a princess. Like the public felt abandoned by me, and I didn't understand that in my life. Like I didn't understand. I did feel like I did miss Hollywood. You know, it's such a magical place, she says. It's so, she has a very soft sort of feeling, and she wants me to do it. She's not as demanding as the other ones. The other ones were very demanding. She's very soft and very unassuming in her energy. She says it was so fun. So fun. I had so much fun. But when you come here, she says, you have to make choices. You have to, and that was a big choice in my life. You know, how much did I want to be a mother over being a Hollywood star? Because both were equally really important to me. But being a mother was much more important. And I made that choice. And I knew people didn't understand. And people in Hollywood didn't for sure understand. Most people didn't understand. But the women in Hollywood understood. They understood that if you wanted to be a mother, you couldn't do Hollywood and be a mother. It was just not a thing that was possible, she says. It was just not possible. And I knew that. I knew, and deep in my heart, I was going to have to make the choice. And it was pretty easy, because Hollywood, you know, even though it's really wonderful and what you create is wonderful, and everything that's magical about it is just like the tip of the iceberg, she says. But what's underneath is not fun and not nice, and people are not nice to you. So it's really easy choice to make in the end, because one option outweighed the other one by, you know, by a lot. And I made the choice, and I knew people wouldn't understand it, but that was my mission. That was sort of part of my desire. You know, how strong was it to be a mother? It was very, very strong. And I had moments in my life where I would regret my choice. You know, it's normal. When things are going bad, you look back and you say, I should have stayed in Hollywood. I should have done this or that. But there were fleeting moments, you know, out of all of my life after Hollywood. Quite fleeting, she says. Very fleeting moments of regret. But once, you know, life came back and I went through my lesson. And she says, I had many lessons as a mother and as a princess. I enjoyed it. I learned to enjoy it. And I didn't have any regrets at all. If people were wondering what I was really thinking about my life, there you go. That's what it was. She said, you have to talk about the dress. So this dress, I bought it, and it's a really hard dress to zip up because it's so tight. And she was telling me how nice it is to have, you know, a man to zip you up in a dress, and it's just as nice to have a man zip you out of the dress. And I was like, that's very naughty, Grace. And she said, well, I am a bit of a naughty girl. People didn't, I had such an image of, proper and posh, but I was naughty, she says. It's just I didn't look naughty. And she insisted on me using this mirror, she says. It's a bit of my Irish genes. Now she wants to talk about her life as Princess Kelly. And she says it was a difficult life because it was still a life in the eye of the public. And it was not as difficult as being a movie star. It was not as difficult as being a movie star, but it was pretty much equivalent, just in a different way. Being in the public eye, people have no idea how difficult it is. There's no other word, she says. No other word. It's difficult. And I thought motherhood would bring me, or this idea of a motherhood that I had in my mind would bring me peace. Because I imagined motherhood as being such a wonderful thing, to have children. I just wanted to have children. And I know in this day and age, women don't really think about things like that, or if they do, they feel shame about wanting to have children young. And I know people have been, trying to help women by saying, don't have children young, but what if you're ready when you're young? What if it's the best time to have them when you're young? My sister, I'm speaking here, me, Eva, my sister had her first child when she was 20, and I believed the hype, that, if you have a child when you're young, you're going to be messed up, and the child will have a messed up life. But what it did for my sister was she completely changed her life around, because she realized there was another human being that she was responsible for. And from being almost, sort of careless about what she was doing with her life, to being very focused and very determined in bringing in money and bringing in what she needed for the child. And she says, when a woman has a child, usually, there's always an exception, because everyone chooses to have a motherhood or a childhood, a motherhood and a childhood with their mother, to be a certain way. But a mother will know. She will know what she needs to do to make it happen. And that's why single mothers exist, because it exists in nature. And it's possible for a woman, to get in touch with that primal energy. She says every human being has that primal energy in them. And as women, we're sort of wired into that energy, she's saying. It's really, really connected to our being. Very much more easy in a more easy way than for men. Men have to find it through strenuous activity, like focused activity. But as women, that sort of, I'm going to take care of something or someone, it just comes in very naturally, she says. And you don't have to worry about it. It just kicks in. You don't have to be scared. Being a mother is a fantastic thing. And I know our society doesn't celebrate motherhood the way it should, but we should celebrate motherhood, because it's absolutely, and she's giving me this overwhelming feeling inside of my belly, like there's a tornado there, like there's like an electric storm in the belly. And she's like, that's where it is. That's where you can go and get it, and you can use it for other things, she says. but it's there, and when you ignore it as a woman, you lose 50% of your power. She says she wants me to look at the camera, and she wants me to be very focused when I say this, because she wants it to have meaning, and she's making me say this because she wants you to hear it. And that's what I was sort of struggling with when I was in December and beginning of January. I was struggling with my own motherly energy, because I'm not going to be a mother in this life. I thought about it, but it's not what I have to learn in this life. But she says it is there, and you cannot put it aside just because you say you're not going to be a mother. It's not important to you. She wants me to know. She made me know it's really important, and I cannot just push it aside and say I'm not going to be a mother, so it's not important. I don't need to connect to that energy, because we lose the grace. She says we lose our grace as women when we don't connect to that energy, and we push it aside because we hurt. When we see other people hurt, we hurt, and that's what enables us to be a good mother, she says, because we can connect to the child. We can connect, to other people as well. And we shouldn't. It's dangerous, she says. We shouldn't be using it on other human beings that are adults, she says. But sometimes in this world that we're living in, where there were not enough mothers that were fully connected to that mother energy, we need to mother ourselves, and we need to mother other people when it's possible and when it's not draining, she says. She's saying we have a very difficult mission right now as women, because when we gave up being a woman to fight for the power to become equals, we lost some of that feminine energy that makes us who we are. And now that we've claimed a lot of power, it's time to introduce it back. And it's not an easy thing, because we have to create a new woman that doesn't exist yet. And she says, but it's exciting. She says, you don't know how exciting it is, because and she wants me to point. She says, you guys are here to create the new woman, and not just one version of it, but your version of it. And you can do it, she says, because if you're here living this life and being in this society and doing what we're doing here now, you can do it, because you have the power. She's like, we just need to work some of this makeup in. I'm like, sorry, I need to work some of this makeup in. Not we. So she's like, can I talk now? I'm like, yes. Well, I didn't expect this, because the other people that I channeled, the other women, we had a scenario. She made me think that there would be nothing to say, or I would be struggling to say something, but no, she's totally here. She's totally in the moment. Sort of, she was keeping me in the dark about what I was going to really say or not say. She says that's what has to be done. And and beauty, she says, it's so sad, because as women, as human women, we are carriers of beauty, and we've let it become sexualized. We've let it become commercialized. We've let it become all these other things, It's lost its grace, she says again. It's not that I want to be mean, I know some women don't want to hear this. They're comfortable. And some women know that there's something wrong. They know that there's something weird and they can't put their finger on it, but they know that they have to do something. They just don't know what or how. So I hope this finds you, and I hope you can listen to this and take this seriously, she says. Because the world needs better mothers and better fathers. And she doesn't want to exclude the fathers. She says fathers have the same energy. They can get it too. It's just a different form of nurturing. That's not the same, but very close. And some men can get the mothering energy full on. She says there's no shame in it. You know, it's just, it's been taken away and it's been transformed and suppressed. But when you think of the 1950s mothers, you know, Leave It to Beaver, she says, it's not that. She says, that's not it. That's not the solution. That's not the solution, she says. It's a different kind of mothering. That's from the heart, she says. She really says we need to open our hearts. You know, there's so many people that are suffering. And she's very sad. So many people that are suffering that need help. And we're just sitting very coolly on the side and not doing anything, pretending that the world is just fine, la-di-da. And she says it's not. And the world needs more love. And as women, we can bring that. And she says, you don't have to go out there and save the world. She says, you don't have to do that. I knew she was going to make me cry. You don't have to do that because you can't save the world. There's no such thing as saving the world. But when you see someone on the street and they're living a life that scares you, because it is scary when you see people living a life on the streets, look at them in the eye and make them feel like they're human, she says, please. Make people feel like they're human, no matter what. And, sorry, this is intense. Make them feel like, even though you don't have to save them from the life that they're having, give them some warmth just by looking at them, acknowledging that they exist. So many people were not acknowledged for their existence by their parents, and that's what happens. And she's, sorry, I'm going to have to stop this because it's too intense. It was really intense. What can I say? She's very intense. She looked so icy, but inside of her there's this really intense energy that no one had an idea of what it was. And she says, I was something. She says, if I got if I really got angry, it would be nasty. She says I could be very nasty. So she says, yes. She says we need to just acknowledge people and send love. You know, we're so cold. This world has become so cold. She says, so individual. You know, and she has got nothing against individuality and expressing yourself, but when you let fellow human beings, you know, fall so low and you tell yourself, you know, there's nothing to be done, or they've chosen it. Yes, they have chosen it, but they deserve for you to look at them with the most respect and the most warmth in your heart for what they've chosen to go through, and maybe that they would want to get out of it. Don't you think they would want to help themselves or find a way to help themselves. Not you helping them and going in and being a savior, but how can they find a way to help themselves, she says, to help yourself. It's really difficult balance being a mother, she says. She makes me do this because you as a mother, you want to do it for them. You want to show them how it's done, but you don't know how it's done. You only know how you did it for yourself. They have to find their own way, but you have to be there and care for them and show your support while they're on their own path, and not abandon them and say, well, you didn't listen to me, so you're on your own, good luck. Some people will strive for that, but our society is kind of a reflection of what parenting is in a very general manner, she says. But our society says, well, this is the way, and if you don't want to fit in this way, then good luck, buddy. Be on your merry way. Go out there in the big bad world and see if you can make it on your own. And she's like, that's not acceptable. That is not acceptable, she says. We have to support every member of humanity in finding their own expression and in their own way, no matter if it's different from what you've chosen or what you think they should be choosing to live a better life. It's not for you to decide, but to be respectful in what you choose. And that is your choice. And what other people choose is their choice. But they might want help, but not, this is the way. Help them find a way to help themselves find their way. That is the most important thing that we haven't learned yet, she says. We haven't, most people have not learned it, she says. Some people have. I'm not going to say no one has learned it, but most people have not. And that's the next step, she says. It's the next step in getting us to where we need to be, to grow, to expand into the life that we need to have as human beings. And it's just simple as that, she says. That's the work. She says she doesn't want to impose this work, but she wants to speak. She wants to say that it exists, and no one talks about it because it's such a taboo thing to talk about, motherhood and what you should do and what you shouldn't do and how you should raise your children and how you should not raise your children. She says, I know it's not, but I want to put it out there. And she says this is not this person talking. She's not a mother, so she doesn't know. I know, because I've been a mother and a wife in the most traditional sense that you can imagine, with the life that you have now and what you've seen from movies. And I can tell you that that's not where you have to go. It's another place that doesn't exist, and you have to have the imagination and courage to find it and to experiment and to let yourself have mistakes and to explore the path, and don't look to me or to the movies or to those ideas, because that's not where it is. But you will find it. If you open yourself to the path, you will find the new mother, the new woman, the new everything, she says. It's really important, she says. Don't minimize what it means, because you're building the future of this society, and she says you deserve so much praise and love. Sorry. She says no one talks about it, and no one says how important you are and how your work is amazing. No one says that. And it's such a shame, because it's such a difficult thing to do, to find your way in that. And just for being a mother, you should be celebrated by the society, because you're making the future I'm trying to get through the message because it's so intense. She's like the Virgin Mary, and she's crying, and she's the tears of humanity, the tears of womanhood are so deep. She says it's so hard to come here and do this. It's her own tears. She found it so hard. She really wanted to be a good mother. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh my God. It's not that I'm sad. Um, it's because there's just so much love coming down from her, and I'm just a human being, and I can't take all of that love coming in, and I just cry. And it's just, she's pouring so much love. She's trying to pour so much love out, and it's making me cry. And I just want to say it again. She just wants to say to mothers, you do the hardest things, and no one appreciates you as much as they should. And sometimes you feel like your work is not good enough, or you're judging yourself because there's no way of finding out where we're going, because it's not been done before. And that's why it's so hard, because you got to try things, and you got to listen around to other people, what they're saying, and educate yourself constantly. And it's such a hard time right now to be a parent and to be a mother, because you have a lot of the burden of finding the new ways, and there's no one who knows right now what is the new way. We're all searching for it, she says, and it's really important to not give up and just do what you have to do. And your children will figure out a way to get through what they need to get through when they'll become adults, and when they, start blaming you or their father or whoever for their problems, because our society still thinks that what people go through is because of their parents. But you come here with lessons to learn, and you're going to learn them, and you choose parents that will teach you those lessons. And that's just how it is, and it's not your fault, and it's not your children's fault. It's no one's fault. We just come here to figure it out, and you just got to accept that it's how you figure it out, and it's not roses and sunshine and ice cream all the time. Sometimes it's fighting and being angry. That's just how it is, she says. That's just how it is. And I'm not going to be able to continue doing the makeup. I'm going to do it off camera, because I guess this was more important than the makeup. It just helped me let it come through and get my focus out of the fact that I'm looking at this thing here, the camera, and that I was going to cry. Grace, she's like, I knew you could do it. I knew you could do it. And we know you can do it. We know you can do it. So I think she wants to talk about her previous life. She says they will want to know, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit. But I'll be right back. So I'm back, and I finished the makeup, and I did my hair, and I did my nails, and I put a liquid bronzer all over me. It's a little bit more red than my face, but I was a little bit strapped for time, because the sun is going to set in about an hour, and the light is going to be not as nice as it is now. And I wanted to come in more as Grace. I know I don't really look like Grace. And she says, you're fine. She's really, she gave me a lot of surprises. I'm sorry that I cried on camera. I'm not really sure what to say about that. I have no choice. I'm going to keep it, because it's just, the emotion was really so intense and so powerful that I have no choice but to cry. And she's been making me cry like this personally. And, I've had other lifetimes where I was a mother, And also, I knew I was a father as well. And so I know being a parent is very difficult, and you are going to make mistakes. And she says that, and I know you're going to make mistakes. It's just the nature of being a human. We come here and we make mistakes. It's not about making the mistake. She's letting me know. It's about how you come back from that mistake, how you turn it around. And she wants to talk about her personal life, and she says it's no one's business. She's a very private person, and she didn't ever talk about what happened between closed doors. And she will say that her relationship with Prince Rainier was really, really difficult, because he was just another one of the men that she had before, the same issues that she was trying to deal through her relationship with this man. And she had no choice because the other men she could leave, she's telling me. But this one she couldn't leave because she was so invested in the relationship. And it forced her to not run away and to stay there and to deal with things as they were coming to her. And she says, show the dress, because I'm so tall, and this camera is not going to be able to show me standing up, because I'm all alone and I have no monitor, and I prefer doing it without a monitor. It just forces me to look into the camera and connect with the camera, and therefore connect with you. And all of the actresses that have been there say the best way to engage with your audience is to do this. Forget the monitor. Have someone else look at the monitor. If you don't have a monitor, just frame yourself and trust that, it's gonna happen. She's coming back to her life. She says her children were her greatest love. And any mother will tell you that children are your greatest love. And there's really no other love that compares here on earth. She says not yet, it's coming. Not tomorrow, not in 15 years, maybe in 100, 200. Love will really, really be here, she says. But until then, children are the closest you can get to love. And because they really force you to love them, because you have no choice. Well, you do have a choice. Some people do abandon their children, and that's another issue. Whatever physical love she had, and whatever love she found for him. I forget his name. Rainier, Louis. It was a very fraternal love. She didn't come, she had that explosive, grab you, grab me, Hollywood thing happening in Hollywood. And it was boring to her, she says. She told me, everything gets boring. That steady love gets boring. The, passionate love gets too much. There's her children, she's really proud of them and everything that they did. And that means she really means it. And when her children were all grown up, her life was pretty much finished, She says finished. I'm being a bit dramatic, she says. My life was not finished, but there was nothing left for me here. And being a princess, I could have done it better, she says. Diana, she's saying, Diana did it so well. She took it one step further by really being really charitable. I was so caught up with my children. I couldn't give that much. And I just didn't have that much to give as she did. But she's saying, Diana, she's like, putting her thumbs up. She's going, Diana, I'm proud of you. And she's saying tonight the Oscar goes to all the mothers and fathers out there who are raising today's children for tomorrow. She says, that Oscar goes to all of you tonight. And she really means it. And my God, she was really very easy to make cry. She's like, yes, that was my struggle in life. It was easy for me to cry. And she's saying, just hold on, trust that every new day is going to bring what you need, or the answer that you need. Just don't despair, because we live in a time where things are going to be changing a lot, and it's going to be hard on everyone. And we really, really need everyone to, as much as possible, to stay on board every day. You're going to drop down. You're going to be, whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen. You're going to feel the burn, but then just get back on the saddle and get your little children on the saddle and see them to adulthood. And, the next step will be the next step. And that's all you can do, she says. That's life here. You don't see the future, and you make it every day, and you should make it count every day. Okay, just be present every day and feel every day. She's saying it's really, really important. She says you have no idea how important it is just to be there as much as you can, even when it's painful. Don't let go. So she says this is the end. Whoa, she was intense. Whew. Okay, so thank you, Grace, and thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm just experimenting with the formatting of this. I was afraid she wouldn't come in, so that's why I brought in the makeup. And I do like becoming them. It helps me to channel her. And she wanted some old Hollywood glamour. She says the new makeup, she likes it, but it's very artificial. She says it's nice not to have too many things popping or being edgy. She says sometimes it's nice just to make your features look good. So thank you for watching. I feel like a TV show now. And have a great evening or a great week or whatever it is. She's there for you. Just call on her, call on Mother Mary, any of those. And she also says a special hi to India and to the mothers in India. She says you're doing something really wonderful. She says you're the ones who have it the hardest, and you're just amazing. She says, mothers in India, wonderful.